Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime! Roundtable 75, and I'm being joined by El Paso's finest D-style boxing. And welcome back from Cuba, the master of mental acuity, Maestro
Sir.
Boxing.
Yes,
What's going
sir. Got a
on?
little bit of a tan. I actually stopped off in Mexico City on the way back. I had a friend drive me to Acapulco for a couple of days, which was really nice. But it's nice to be back in New York City and back with my brothers from HCP, mis hermanos causando pánico. I know we're gonna have a great show tonight, guys.
A lot of good stuff to talk about.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Welcome back. Welcome back. I mean, I don't know what we're doing over there. I mean, I heard that they're going to bring pro boxing back to Cuba. Like, this can't be a coincidence now. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
I was doing a little bit of my magic work down there. You know, Maestro Management was trying to do some wheeling and dealing. You know, unfortunately, somebody else swooped in and got the contract. I actually don't know much about this promotional company that signed the deal with the Cuban government. Golden Ring or something, I think they're called, Golden Ring Promotions. I'm surprised actually that Matchroom or Top Rank or some of the bigger outfits didn't try to do this. Maybe Pro Bellum with Richard Schaefer. But yeah, that was big news actually that Cubans are not going to be fighting pro, the ones that live on the island. So
Good stuff.
big
Good stuff.
news.
So let's talk about pro boxing that's going on right now here. Now, this whole situation with George Kambosos and Devin Haney. George Kambosos is turning into Teofimo Lopez. It's almost like deja vu. You know, after when Teofimo Lopez had that big victory over Lomachenko, he started saying crazy things, acting like he was a legend already. And George Kambosos is saying crazy things like I'm the emperor, I chose you, you are forced to fight me. He's really, really full of himself, and he still seems to be basking in glory from that Teofimo Lopez win. And again, it was one win. I'm not taking anything away from him, but you still got a lot left to do before you start acting like, you're the bee's knees here. And the way he's been talking to Devin Haney, and to me, it seems like he's underestimating him and maybe even looking past him. I want to start with you, Maestro. Do you like this version of George Kambosos? Because he wasn't like this leading up into the Teofimo Lopez fight. He was more of a humble guy. Now he's turned into kind of the heel now, and it just doesn't seem like it's him.
Well, my perspective on this is a bit informed by kind of the way I think a lot of people from outside the United States view the United States and view athletes from the United States. And in George Kambosos' case, I think have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Look, for a lot of the world, the United States is seen as the brash, the cocky, the arrogant, the, I'm always better than you type of society. I mean, you hear it all of the time when you live here. I mean, how many times have you heard a U.S. politician talk about we're the best at this or we're the best at that? And you scratch your head and you question, it's like, well, what are you basing this on? Just the fact that you're from the United States? So for a lot of people from outside the United States, they hear that. They don't necessarily like it. And I think that George Kambosos' fan base will actually appreciate what he's doing. It makes me think of the Super Six tournament from way back when. And Andre Ward referred to Mikhail Kessler as a typical European fighter. And Mikhail Kessler's response was, well, you're just a typical U.S. fighter. Like, I think there's a little bit of that with George Kambosos. I think here it's definitely the heel, Joe, here in the United States. But I know D-Style will remember this. It was the last run of Bret Hart when he was in the WWF, where essentially he was a heel in the United States, but because he was like antagonistic towards people from the US, he was actually like a baby face everywhere else. Does that make sense? So I think in this regard, this kind of behavior, this brashness, this cockiness, this let me put this guy from the US in his place is actually going to be well received in Australia it's just not going to be where at other parts of the world too, by the way. It's just not very well received here in the United States.
Dean, what do you think about this? Because I know we've talked about it, and you've kind of complained about it a little bit. You haven't seemed to be so happy about it either.
Ladies and gentlemen, will the real George Kambosos please stand up? Can the real George Kambosos please stand up? Because when was the real Kambosos? Was the one before and after the immediate aftermath and right before the fight? Is that the real Kambosos? Who's always been a little brash. He's a fighter, right? He's always talked trash, got in guys' face, and been confident. That's not the new part, right? But now George Kambosos, right? And it's not so much about the emperor thing. I don't care about it. The nicknames are nicknames. I don't care, right? But it's just the way he's talking, and the way he's kind of put himself as this like dude on this pedestal. Like, look at me, I've conquered the world. And I just look at him, and like in the Gladiator movie, as he's coming in his chariot, Kambosos, comes in as a conquering hero. But what has he conquered? He's won one fight of significance, a good win, nonetheless, under questionable circumstances. The more and more we start learning about the circumstances that led up to that fight. But he sits there, and it's like, okay, you're going to be the heel? You want to make people not like you? Okay, cool. George Kambosos, the way he's talking, I'm the A side, you're the B side. That's not, to me, that's just obnoxious. That's what that is to me. Because a Canelo should be talking like that, not you, right? Floyd Mayweather talked like that, but it took Floyd Mayweather like 5 divisions and like 4 or 5 major pay-per-views later to really start talking that way, right? If all he says is, "Hey, I would have whooped this dude's ass, whooped that guy's ass, or whatever," that's cool. But it's another level of arrogance that's there that was not there before. So either he was being fake then, or he's being fake now, right? So will the real George Kambosos please stand up?
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Ring IQ, for the $4.99 super chat. He said, "Sorry, couldn't join, guys. Felt like caca. Don't worry about it, brother. It's okay." All right, let's move on. Big fight, Gennady Golovkin, Ryotya Murata, Japan. It's going to be Saturday morning over here. And the big story of this fight is Gennady Golovkin's age, right? Even with that, going over to Japan and Murata's home territory, right? Even with that, people are still talking about, can Golovkin get old overnight in this matchup? Even though he's the favorite, he's like a minus 590, right? And Murata's a plus 470 here, or plus 370, excuse me. So the odds are still heavily in Golovkin's favor, but a lot of people are asking, he just turned 40 years old. Will he be the same Golovkin? And then some people saying, does he even have to be the same Golovkin to fight and beat a guy like Murata who's there to be hit? I'm going to start with you, Maestro. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Could this be the fight that Golovkin hits the wall? He's had some shaky moments, but could this be the night where he just goes right into the wall?
What are we talking about, though, Joe, when we say the same Golovkin? You mean the Golovkin that was taking on guys like Adamana Osumanu or Curtis Stevens, or the Golovkin maybe that didn't take on Derevyanchenko and bend his IBF title so that he could take up Avanis Matirosyan that was moving up in weight? A lot of Golovkin's track record, honestly, his history in the sport has just been overrated in my view. And I've made this point quite a lot, so I don't mind making it again. I'm not saying that he's not a good fighter. I think he's a great fighter. But having said that, I also think that he's overrated. When people start talking about him as like one of the best middleweights of all time, I just think that that's ridiculous when you look at his track record. And at the end of the day, look, Golovkin's the same age as me. Like, I don't feel the same now that I did 5 years ago. Definitely not the way I felt 10 or 15 years ago. So is he going to show signs of age? Probably. What I will say about Murata is that Murata is a pretty action type fighter that will provide the openings necessary for Triple G to go to work. I don't really think he's going to have to go chasing Murata for this fight, but we did see Triple G get touched by Steve Rolls. We did see that. We also saw him getting hit by a Camille Zerameta, who's not exactly a power puncher. Murata can hit. So if Murata can touch Triple G the way that Zerameta and even Rolls did, let alone Devrinchenko, who, by the way, I thought beat Triple G when he finally did get the chance to fight him. Hell yeah. I think the possibility or even probability is there for Triple G to take a L in this fight. If I was going to bet on this fight, I'm betting Murata, especially because he's the underdog.
Yeah, I think Murata's really live here. D, what do you think of this matchup? And will the age even play a factor here? Does Golovkin have to be that Golovkin of old, the 30-year-old guy that was beating up guys like David Lemieux? Does he even need to be that guy to beat a Murata?
Well, opinion? Age is always a factor, right? Like regardless. Now, there's guys that are too good for their opponents, so we don't notice it, but age will always be a factor. I mean, point blank period, 40 years old is no joke. I'm almost there myself. I know, right? But look, I do believe that this is a very winnable fight for Gennady Golovkin. Okay. And look, I don't think Murata's a bad fighter or anything like that. Like people like to say he's there to be hit. And I think what they mean by that is he squares up a lot, especially after, throwing a combination. That's going to leave him open, to get hit by Gennady Golovkin, who's really good at he's good at leading with a punch, sometimes making guys miss and then coming back with a counter, and I think Murata might have some problems with that, and the question here is, I don't even know what is the best game plan for Triple G. Should he try to counter punch Murata a little bit and move and box like he did Lemieux? Or should he actually be the one to lead and be first? Because if he tries to do that, look, Murata could come back, catch him with some big, Murata can crack. So at some point in this fight, I do anticipate the chin of Gennady Golovkin getting tested early in this fight. Murata will hit him clean, okay, straight down the pipe, and either Gennady Golovkin's going to feel it and crumble, or he's going to eat it, right, and then take over from there. But I anticipate a big shot from Murata early, and that's going to dictate where the fight goes. I do believe it goes the distance. I think it'll be a pretty clear decision win for Gennady Golovkin, in my opinion.
Shout out to Ring IQ with another $4.99 super chat. He said, the kids bringing me home, they got germs from school. Gotcha, man. That happens. The thing with Golovkin, though, is the big advantage he would have in fights was he was just such a very good inside fighter. We saw it in a lot of his fights. And Derevyanchenko was able to beat him on the inside. A smaller Derevyanchenko who doesn't hit as hard as Golovkin. And you look at a guy like Murata, who's also a very good inside fighter and is bigger than Derevyanchenko and hits harder than Derevyanchenko and is a bit stronger, in my opinion, than Derevyanchenko. So these used to be the styles that played right into Golovkin's hand, but they don't seem to be, the style anymore. I mean, he's struggling when these guys get in his chest now. Now the punches that used to freeze guys, the punches that used to stop guys in their tracks, even guys like Steve Rolls, it's taken him time to get these guys out of there. Like everyone seems to be having their moments with Golovkin, and I thought Derevyanchenko beat him up in that fight. I thought Derevyanchenko won that fight. So that was kind of a red flag for me. Now, Murata's going to be feeding off the hometown crowd in Japan, and this is going to be the fight of his life. I think he's going to rise to the occasion. I don't see Golovkin being better than that Golovkin we saw in the Derevyanchenko fight. And if that's the Golovkin we're going to get in this fight, I think he's ripe to get beat. So I'm going to go with Murata too, and possibly by a late stoppage here. I think this could be the fight where Triple G just hits the wall and
it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this, Joe. I mean, we both thought, I still think, that Triple G got the benefit of, let's just say, scorecards that were kind of weighted towards him. Is that going to happen in Japan?
No.
Where Murata's not only the biggest boxing star, but as a major level celebrity in Japan. I don't think a lot of people understand how big a celebrity he is in Japan. Literally tens of millions of people watch this dude fight. And yes, Japan has like over 100 million people, but it's not 300 million plus that live in the United States. When 30 million people tune in to watch anyone do something, that's a big deal, regardless of what country it is, especially when you're talking about a country that's got the third of the population of the United States where we are. So, no, he's not going to get ripped off in Japan the way that Derevyanchenko was here in the United States as a B-side. Because you know what? Murata's the A-side in Japan. Let's not get it twisted. Golovkin's going over there as the favorite, the betting favorite, but as the B-side in terms of being a star in that part of the world.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a great fight. And it's going to definitely be an action-packed fight. These two styles are a can't miss. So let's talk about Ryan Garcia, who's finally coming back, fighting Emmanuel Tagoe. Got a new trainer, Joe Goosen. This is his third trainer that he's had in such a short career. And usually when I see things like that, I start to ask myself, what's going on here? Is it really issues with the trainer, or is it the fighter himself that's having the issues? Will Joe Goosen really make a difference here? Will we see a different Ryan Garcia, or will we see the same? Let's start with you, D-Style. Before we start with you, D-Style, let's welcome the Queen, Micah K, doing it for the love of the game, as always. Nice to have you here.
Yes. What up, though? How everybody feeling? A lot of boxing.
This is going to be a jam-packed weekend of boxing.
Big Tank Davis conference, Queen, over here in New York City yesterday. I don't know if you saw him saying that Floyd might be a little bit jealous of your boy.
I heard, you know what? I did not get a chance. I've been so busy. I got to go back and watch it. I heard a little bit of something about it.
He tweeted about it after the press conference, you know.
And then he deleted right after.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But he got it out there. The message is out there. But
yeah.
Sorry, Joe.
So I gotta see.
No problem. So D, I mean, are we going to see a new Ryan Garcia? Are we going to see pretty much of the same? Is this new trainer change going to make a difference? I mean, the opponent isn't the best opponent, but we've seen stranger things happen. I mean, the upsets are very common in this sport. We know that.
I don't know. I could guarantee this to anybody that Ryan Garcia, like if you don't follow boxing and you don't know that he was on the Canelo team and you don't know that now he's with Goosen, I can guarantee you when you watch him fight this Saturday, right, he's going to look like the same Garcia, right? Chin in the air still, it's powerful hook still. He could punch like hell. I mean, he's quick, probably the fastest hands in the division. Right. I mean, he's got physical gifts, but yeah, some deficiencies he needs to work on. But I will say this, he's going to come out extremely with something to prove in this fight. Right. He's trying to prove something. He's trying to prove, you know what? I don't need Reynoso. I don't need, the Canelo team. I'm going to go out. I'm going to show everybody that I did not make a mistake going with Goosen. Right. And because of that, yeah, he's going to come out on fire. I think he's going to have a great performance on Saturday, right? The thing I'm looking for is what's going to happen down the line. What's going to happen, is he going to be with Goosen for another 4 fights? Or it's going to be one and done? Is he going to be with him that long? Is he going to be as dedicated the longer he stays with him, right? Because a lot of these guys that switch trainers like this, like an Andy Ruiz, and I'm not saying it's exactly like Ruiz, different situations. At some point, they lose concentration, then they move on to another trainer, right? He should win this fight because he's a better fighter than Tagoe. That's why he's going to win, right? And Goosen's a good trainer as well, and I'm positive that this time he did do everything Goosen wanted him to do, and Goosen probably is happy with him right now. But we're going to see. What I'm waiting for is after this. What happens after this with Ryan?
Yeah. And that's a good point you made, because when you said he's doing everything that Goosen, you feel as though he's probably doing everything Goosen's asking him to do now. Question is, how long will that last?
Every fighter and trainer, especially a fighter that has something to prove, they have a honeymoon stage. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
They have that honeymoon stage where they're dedicated. See, you see, and then they said I wasn't going to stay focused, but I'm focused. You see, look at me, guys. Look at me. Look at me. Because that's what he does. That is his persona. That's why he does the shoe shine thing. Okay, that's why he hits that double M bag and with the hand behind his back, and it's all about he's a show off by nature. Right now, he wants to show off that he doesn't need Reynoso, and that's what he's doing right now. I mean, that's what it is.
So I'm going to go to you, Micah K. This is the third trainer in such a short career for Ryan Garcia. Will this make a difference? Will we see, like D-Style said, that Ryan Garcia with the chin still up in the air, closing his eyes when he throws that hook sometimes? Or are we going to see a more refined, a more technically sound Ryan Garcia with the addition of Joe Goosen on Saturday?
I believe, that's a good question. Boxing is very unpredictable. I'm one of those type of people that I have to see it first. So I'm not for sure what type of Ryan Garcia. I mean, Ryan Garcia does have, excellent attributes with the fast hand speed. There's certain things that he can do really good. What I would say is, because he is transitioning from Eddie Reynoso to Joe Goosen. Joe Goosen has been a great trainer, has trained elite boxers. I think it is one of those things where we have to wait and see. Then we'll see, like D-Style said, as far as like with the chin, we'll see certain things with Ryan Garcia, even dealing with the foot movement. I think we have to wait and see. Then we'll know what type of Ryan Garcia we're going to get next.
Fair enough. Maestro, what are your thoughts? Do you think Ryan Garcia will be more technically sound? Do you think we'll see a more poised Ryan Garcia, or like D-Style says, do you think he's just going to be anxious and go right in there for the kill? Because if you saw the altercation that they had, I think it was yesterday, where they kind of went up in each other's face and they threw punches at each other, him and Emmanuel Tagoe. Will that carry over into the fight, and will that make Ryan Garcia be a little reckless going into this fight?
I think a lot of that exchange probably had to do with Emmanuel Tagoe just showing that he's not there for the check, and that he's not there to lay down, and like he's not intimidated by either Ryan Garcia or this big event that he's participating in. At least a big event in his career, because I think it's safe to say that this is probably the biggest stage that Emmanuel Tagoe has ever fought on. In terms of the question about technique and how he's going to perform, he being Ryan Garcia, and whether or not it will improve, I don't know. I kind of have a tough time believing that, because under Eddie Reynoso, he strung together a string of knockouts that were quite impressive. And I'm not just talking about the Luke Campbell knockout when he got off the floor and stopped Campbell with that body shot that was, if you're not going to say that was impressive, I mean, to me, you're just a hater. The Francisco Fonseca KO was impressive to me. That was a first round KO. The Romero Duno KO was impressive to me. That was a first round KO. I mean, so when you look at the string of victories under Reynoso, I think Reynoso did a pretty good job with them. I think that he went to Goosen not because of technique, but pretty much what he's admitted himself already, which is that he wanted someone to prioritize him and dedicate themselves to him. And of course, I said this last time I was on the Roundtable, Eddie Reynoso's top priority is always going to be Canelo. I mean, he's not just Canelo's trainer, he's his manager, and Canelo fights multiple times a year. So you got to get in where you fit in with Eddie. And I don't think Ryan was willing to do that. Joe Goosen doesn't have the responsibility of training someone like a Canelo, let alone also managing someone like Canelo. I mean, no, pretty much one does. He's the biggest star in the sport. And he will get the 5-star first-class treatment that he wants from Joe Goosen. So I think that's more what it's about. he can say it's about little techniques, holding your hands up high in defensive transitions or whatnot. But, anyone who's seen Eddie Reynoso train knows that he focuses on that too. So I think it's more about the dedication.
Yeah. And I just wanted to, add a couple little comments. Also, too, reading an article that I just read about an hour or two ago from the boxing scene. It talks about how Joe Goosen and Ryan Garcia had already had a certain type of relationship, and Ryan Garcia is younger. He is in his early 20s. For some people that's in their 30s and 40s, they might think what I'm about to say, like, Micah, that doesn't matter. But relationships really matter, especially when you're going into that teenager to that early 20 phase, the early 20-year-old phase, what I'm trying to say. And sometimes that bond is what key. And I feel like Ryan Garcia could feel even more comfortable with Joe Goosen. And also Joe Goosen saying, he knew Ryan Garcia's mom and dad. They had a relationship. He actually helped train Ryan Garcia. I believe his 15th fight. It says his 15th final national title before he turned professional in 2016. So there's history there. There's a bond there. And it's something like, to piggyback off what Maestro said, as far as talking about, he wanted to be the main focus. So, Ryan wanted this, Ryan wanted this change. So now we're going to see, is Ryan going, really bring it? Is he really going to be focused, disciplined? And are we going to see even more progression, after this fight on Saturday?
And by the way, Tagoe has got to go in under full. Let me tell you something. I keep hearing a lot of, Tagoe's a tough dude. Well, I would hope he's tough. He's a professional boxer. Okay, I hope he's a tough guy, right? Toughness isn't enough when you get a hit with a freaking blasting left hook. This kid's left hook is probably the most powerful in that division, all right? And Tagoe is gonna go when he get it with that damn hook. And anybody in the chat if you want to keep vouching for Tagoe and all this, okay, how about this? Okay, I got some oceanfront property here in El Paso, Texas that I can sell you, all right? Just listen to me right now, okay? Listen real closely. You want to bet on it or what? Okay? You want to do a bet? I'll do a pie bet. Loser needs to put a fucking pie in their face. I got Ryan Garcia, all right? Who's going to pick Tagoe? Or is it all talk? Is it all? Like, is that what we're doing right now? No, he's a tough dude. Okay, he's a tough dude. How many of you are willing to put that in the line? I'll wait for an answer.
No, D-Sol, I think you make a lot of sense there. And look, Emmanuel Tagoe, in his last fight.
And I ain't going to turn down shit, Jacob. How about that? And what are you going to do about it? Nothing. I ain't going to turn down shit.
In his last fight, earned a majority decision against Mason Menard. Right now, you may look at it and say, "Well, Carlos Sucre was scoring that, so maybe we need to look at that with a double lens." But in Mason Menard's very next fight, he got knocked out in 2 rounds by Christian Tapia. So, that's the level that Tagoe was fighting at before taking on Ryan Garcia. Guys, the writing's on the wall. This is a handpicked opponent where the promoter's going to be able to say, hey, look, he just got through a rough and rugged Ghanaian guy. Like, we all know the Ghanaians are rugged. We all know how rough and rugged the Ghanaian fighters are. Look at Ike Corte, Well, this guy ain't Ike Corte. This guy ain't...
I need to hear something else other than he's tough. Well, what else you guys got? He's tough. What else you got?
Well, let me say this. Number one, I do have Garcia winning this fight. Plug. Make sure you go to Afternoon Sports Slay. I just dropped 5 quick prediction videos. So I did drop a prediction video for Garcia versus Tagoe. I did like certain things that I saw. I'm definitely not picking Tagoe. But as far as like him unleashing certain type of combinations, I like certain things. Nice quickness, good timing. He had a few things. Like I said, I understand what D-Style is saying. I definitely have Ryan once again, not to, continuously be repetitive, but it's certain things I still liked what I saw from Tagoe. And I always say boxing is unpredictable. He has a new trainer, even though Ryan Garcia has worked with him in the past. So you never know what Tagoe is going to bring to the table come Saturday.
Here's the thing for me. He did work with Goosen in the past, but the question is, why'd you leave him? If things were so good and everything, why didn't you stay with them? Why did you go with somebody else? That's the big question. And here's another question you have to ask yourself too. What if someone walks in to the 10 Goose gym and Joe just says, okay, why don't you come work with me a little bit, hit the pads. And this guy sets the world on fire. And then Joe starts working with him. So once, in my opinion, once you have that personality trait where you feel as though you need to be the center of attention, it's kind of like histrionic personality disorder. You have to be the center of attention. Everything has to be focused on you, regardless of what the situation is. Once you have that, I don't think you can get rid of that. So will he feel slighted, as D-Style said, down the road? Will things change? Will he feel slighted down the road by Joe Goosen? Because once again, you are who you are, right? People who are born round, they don't die square, as the great Customato once said. So if he has that mentality, will that resurface in a situation with Joe Goosen? Because that's a big question you have to ask yourself.
Well, it's a really good question, Joe. But then also when you look at the kind of history of the sport, right, and you look at the biggest stars in the sport, you've got fighters who essentially worked with a trainer, and that trainer would not work with other people while he was working with that fighter. I mean, the list of fighters like this is long. We don't even need to start it, right? What's more rare is the superstar level fighter who is totally comfortable with their trainer working with like 2 or 3 other dudes while he's being trained by that trainer. Canelo is one of the very few that's been like that. I think Pacquiao was like that too, to a certain extent as well. I mean, Freddie Roach would train a ton of people while he was training Manny. But Eddie Reynoso was training people while he was training Canelo. I mean, I think Ryan Garcia puts himself into the category of the former, the great stars of the sport who, when they were with a trainer, that trainer was only working with them for that camp and nobody else, I don't think he's capable of being a Manny kind of guy or a Canelo kind of guy. I mean, that's just kind of how I look at it. I don't know what you think about that, Joe.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, sometimes you just have to have self-awareness. You have to look at the situation because Oscar Valdez never complained. I mean, he seems to be getting all the attention that he needs, and he's a world champion. He's doing fine over there. So you just have to ask yourself, is it really the trainer or is it the situation?
Is everyone picking knockout here?
Yeah, I think
so B, Tagoe's got to go in.
I'm going to say 4 rounds. I think that's accurate.
Okay. Maestro, Tagoe's got to go in what?
I think he's got to go in under 6 rounds. I mean, the reason I say that is simple. Ryan Garcia wants to be in the conversation with Tank Davis, with Devin Haney, with George Kambosos Jr. At least I hope he wants to be in that conversation. And to be in that conversation, he's got to knock this dude out. There's no 2 ways about it.
So he's got to go in. Tagoe's got to go in
5.5 rounds, under 5.
Wow, man. Queen, talk to us. Tagoe's got to go in what?
I'm not picking a knockout. I got to see how Ryan looks. I think he possibly could. If I would say the later rounds, we haven't seen Ryan. Think about it. Okay, it's 2022. We ain't seen him in a minute. He been gone for King Ryan. Been gone for what? About a year or whatever. We ain't seen him.
Okay,
year and a half.
Yeah.
Well, Tagoe's gotta go in full.
Well,
okay.
Let me ask you this though. And this is, I hate saying this, and I hate when fighters do this, but will he intentionally try to go rounds because he's been off so long, or will he try to blow him out of there? That's another question we have to ask.
Well, that's a good question, Joe. And the thing is, it may not even be the intentional, well, I want to go 6 or I want to go 7. It may just be, well, I want to work on this thing that Joe Goosen's teaching me, and I want to practice this. And through the act of practicing that, the fight goes longer than it would have. had he just been doing what he's been doing in the last few fights under Eddie Reynoso.
Yeah. All right, before we go to the next topic, I just want to ask Mike a question about the topic that we talked about when she wasn't here, and that's Golovkin versus Murata. You know, Golovkin just turned 40, and that seems to be the big talking point about this fight. Do you think age is going to play a factor here? He's going over to Japan, Murata's home territory here. How do you see this fight playing out? Could Father Time catch up to Golovkin, 40 years old?
I always say this. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but boxing is so unpredictable. He could. We don't know what type of Triple G age is very, once you start aging, really when you start getting into them 30s and stuff like that, you start getting out of your prime and you go into that 40, your body don't do stuff the same way. So, I do have Triple G winning the fight. But I feel like as far as dealing with Murata, okay, so both of them too is ring rust too. What, they both haven't been in the ring in almost like, I think Murata hadn't been in the ring since I checked that out too. Like
about 8 months for him.
Okay, I thought it was a little longer. I checked that from BoxRec. Okay,
yeah,
and
about
then,
8 months for him, and Golovkin, I think it's been almost a year and a half. I want to say.
So, what I'm going to say is because with Triple G, we know he has power in both hands. We know he has that powerful jab. We know certain things that he utilizes, how he can go in that inside, fighting the inside well. So I'm definitely going to go with Triple G. I think he's going to, bring it home. But once again, we got to see, because Murata has a good, power punches as well. He likes to break down that body. So we're going to see if Triple G is able to snap back. That's a 40-year-old body. But I think he's going to do it, and I think he's going to come out on top with that one.
Okay, so no upset special here for Murata.
I don't think so.
All right, so the panel split on this. This is interesting. I like when we have a diversity of opinions. That's great.
Tagoe's going to go in full.
All right. Speaking of knockouts, Savannah Marshall had a outstanding dynamic knockout against Femma Herman's third round stoppage. But Clarrisa Shields, who is the potential opponent next in a unification bout with Savannah Marshall, she's calling the power fake. And how ironic is that? Because Marshall has knocked out two opponents in an impressive fashion that Clarrisa Shields went the distance with. Hannah Rankins and Femke Hermans both went the distance with Clarrisa Shields. So is this going to be a very dangerous fight for Clarrisa Shields? Is Savannah Marshall's power for real? Number one, is her power for real? Number one. And number two, I'm hearing a lot of things like,
I would have let her have a free one, that's for sure.
I'm hearing a lot of things. Let me get through this now. Let me get through this. This is good. Let me get through this now. Let me burn. So, I'm hearing a lot of things like Shields is way too fast for her. She's way too skillful for her. But once again, Marshall definitely has that eraser. So I'm going to start with you, Maestro. Is this a dangerous fight for Shields, or is this going to be a one-sided fight?
Oh, it's a dangerous fight. You know who Savannah Marshall reminds me of, funny enough?
Don't say Ann Wolf.
George Foreman. Big George wasn't the fastest, okay? But Big George, if he hit you, he hurt you. And when Savannah Marshall hits these women, she hurts these women, if not puts them out. That knockout was very impressive. It's the type of knockout that you very rarely see in female boxing. And not just because obviously females don't hit as hard as men hit, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that is the truth. But also because the female fights are 2-minute round fights. And, it's not as always easy to get these knockouts in those short intervals. But yeah, it's a big problem for Clarrisa Shields. And I said it before, and people were calling me crazy for it, but including you, Joe, by the way. Well, you actually didn't call me crazy. You just didn't like me saying that we had to pick.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah. I was all over you for this.
But I've been saying this for a while. I'm looking forward more to Clarrisa Shields, Savannah Marshall, not in terms of significance for the sport of female boxing, but just on pure entertainment value alone. Then I am looking forward to Katie Taylor against it's not Cap against Amanda Serrano.
Oh, I'm talking about my Cap.
I'm looking forward to that. I am. But here's the thing. Does anyone see a knockout happening in that fight? I think that's a distance fight. I think it's going to be an exciting fight, but I think it's going to be a distance fight. Are you telling me that it wouldn't be exciting to see Savannah Marshall hurt Clarrisa Shields and either knock her out or see Clarrisa Shields have to deal with being severely hurt and getting a victory, maybe coming off the canvas? The prospects of that make it an exciting fight. And I can see either of those two scenarios happening. Clarrisa Shields getting hurt and having to fight back, or getting hurt and not being able to continue like a lot of these Savannah Marshall opponents, or Clarrisa Shields having to box Savannah Marshall's ass off for the full 10 rounds. All three of those scenarios lead to me watching a very exciting fight. So absolutely no cap. Shout out to Kenny T.
I owe you an apology because you kind of sold me on Savannah Marshall and Clarrisa Shields. After seeing that knockout this past Saturday and seeing the back and forth, how they're going at each other, and the post-fight build-up for this event, I think you may be right here. I'm starting to look forward to this fight more than the Taylor-Serrano fight, because that's probably going to be a chess match. This has the potential. Now, wait for it. Brace yourself for this. This has the potential.
You need a cap for sure.
Brace yourself for this one.
Here we go.
D-Style's going to probably throw the cap at the screen after I see this one.
Here we go.
This may be the female. This may be the female version of Hagler versus.
You just said it. You just.
Oh, come on! Stop! You need to stop right now. You both need to stop. Like quick.
It could be, or we might also have a kind of George Michael Moore moment. It just happened.
Y'all like Teddy Atlas when he calls all his MMA fights, all this historic. Like that's how y'all sound right now.
No, not at all. Look, there's some intangibles too, D-Star, real quick, because I know you're gonna cook on this, and I can't wait to hear it. Intangibles in this are there's way more bad blood in this fight. There's way more bad blood in this fight between these two ladies than Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor's. The bad blood is real.
He sold me.
And the other thing too, this fight is going to take place in the UK. We already know the atmosphere.
Stadium.
UK.
Stadium.
The fans are going to be going crazy.
Old two.
The decibel level.
It's a solid arena fight.
Levels in that arena are going to be off the charts. Okay. That is going to be, dare I say, it has the potential to be the most exciting female fight in the history of the sport. I'm just saying it right now. I'm telling you right now.
Go ahead, D-Star. Is the power for real? Is the competitive? Is Savannah Marshall for real?
She is.
I don't think you think she is.
No, he doesn't.
Not at all. You obviously being the biggest fan of HCP didn't watch HCP. That's what I just realized right now. You know what I mean? He's got some catching up to do. You know what I mean? But let me first say this, okay? I am excited for the fight, and let me also say this, because I hear this a lot, right? I don't know if you guys heard this one. Like, yeah, she beat Shields, but she was only 17 or 16, right? Well, Savannah was only like 19, 20. Like, it's not like Savannah was this veteran fighter by the, you know what I mean? Like, she was young to the game too. And Clarrisa Shields was like one of, if not the, I believe she was already a gold medalist around that time when she beat her. So it's not like Clarrisa was just like this little poor girl that just started boxing either. You know what I mean? So obviously they both improved since then. I keep hearing people say that this is a puncher versus boxer fight. No. It's a boxer versus a boxer puncher, and there's a difference because Savannah could box, And she's not as fast as Shields, but she's not slow either, though. You know what I mean? And she packs a punch, not just on one, but two hands. Okay, and we've seen great fighters like Floyd Mayweather take away the power hand of punchers before, right? But I mean, Clarrisa would have to be as good as Floyd to do that, but can she take away both the right and the left? I don't think she can. She's going to have to deal with at least one of those, right? And I'll tell you what, Clarrisa does get hit in fights, especially early, right? She discourages these girls, right? She's a good counterpuncher. She's fast. They get discouraged. You know what I mean? And I do think she could catch Clarrisa in exchanges early. I think she could force her on exchanges. I don't think Clarrisa has, I don't think any female, honestly, on this planet has the ability to box against someone that could punch like that for 10 rounds in this case, right? Well, yes, there are fighters like I look at a Shakur, I say, you know what? I think he could outbox Valdez, right? Who packs a punch. I could see that. I could see Haney like outboxing a guy for 12 rounds. Clarrisa against a puncher like this who does have amateur pedigree, that has a pretty solid jab, by the way, a nice power jab at that. I question whether Clarrisa could do it or not, but that's why I want to see it. I think it'll be a great fight. I do. I just think, Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor is like a historic event. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead, Micah. I know you're chopping at the bit here. Go ahead.
So, I call Clarrisa the GOAT. She's the GOAT in my eyes until somebody takes her off the throne. That she is the one. She is numero uno in my eyes. I feel like this, to me, it's even bigger, just like Maestro and Beebs is saying too, because the tension is there. I feel like this is going to deliver with the spice and juice. We are going to be locked in from beginning to end because of everything that has happened. Listen, Marshall's basically telling Clarrisa Shields she got pillow fists. Shields saying, listen, you have that fake power. So let's get into a little bit of the breakdown. I have to definitely disagree with D-Style when you said, as far as, I definitely feel like it's the puncher versus boxer. Okay. I will say this. I'm one of those people that will be honest. I got to watch even more Savannah Marshall film. But what I've seen going to my eye test, okay, I feel like it's definitely the puncher versus the boxer. I feel like Marshall is definitely not as fast as Clarrisa Shields. So you're going to me, just off of Clarrisa Shields' quickness, okay, her hand speed, that athleticism, if you really tapped in with the queen, I know I haven't been on the ringside reporter, the queen loves bounce. So if you got that good bounce in the ring and you got that excellent movement, plus also Clarrisa Shields' high IQ, her ability to be able to adjust. So the key question to me with this fight is going to be, for me, is will Clarrisa be able to take, okay, Marshall's power? Will Clarrisa stay poised and composed? And will Shields be able to handle Marshall's power? And will Marshall handle Shields' quickness and her ability to do the movement? So it's that's how I feel about this fight. But I definitely have Clarrisa Shields winning. I feel like Marshall is not going to be able to, hit as much, get those accurate punches like she usually does on certain opponents. But let me say this really quickly though. I do feel like this is going to be Clarrissa's biggest challenge up to this point. Yes, because we seeing somebody in a Savannah Marshall with the height, certain things she can do with the power. And we know with Clarrisa Shields, Clarrisa only has 2 knockouts. So it really, to me, is going to be, once again, the puncher versus the boxer.
So to your credit, look, I have seen Shields make an adjustment before. She got knocked down early against Hannah Gabriels, and she got back up. She showed calmness, and she was able to. She was a little erratic that round, but she got it together right for the rest of that fight. And all due respect to Hannah Gabriels, though, she cannot punch like that. This is another level of puncher, and I don't know if Shields has an answer for that, because all the punches on the shoulders, the punches landing on the elbows, the punches that even though when she's blocking with her gloves, she's gonna feel the impact of those punches, and she's never fought someone that she can that that she needs to keep off of her. She's always fought somebody that she could 1-2 pivot, 1-2 pivot for the most part, use her speed to at her for advantage. I don't know. I just don't think Clarrisa Shields could keep Savannah Marshall off of her. I
feel like with Clarrisa and her jab game, her jab isn't her skill set, how her technique is excellent. I feel like she's going to use the jab effectively, and I feel like Clarrisa is just going to be too quick for Savannah. But that's once again why I say this fight is very spicy, because now we're going to really see, as far as if you're rooting for Marshall, you're going to see, okay, oh, Marshall proved me right. Or if you're rooting for Shields, we're going to finally see, so we can, that way all the, the haters or whoever who going for what side, it'll, die down once we see who's going to really truly win this fight. And I'm going with Clarrisa.
The beautiful thing about this fight is the danger factor in it, because you're going to be sitting at the edge of your seat waiting to see if that big punch from Marshall lands.
Yeah.
And if and when it does, what's going to happen. Now, on Sunday, Eric and myself from the Ringside Reporter, my partner, we discussed this fight, and he was very high on Shields. He just said Shields was, much faster than Marshall. And he did not like the fact that Marshall kept her hands down low. And he heavily favors Shields in this fight because of the speed and the volume. And he feels the technical deficiencies of Marshall by keeping her hands low. And I was surprised to hear that. I mean, he doesn't think this fight's going to be competitive at all. He thinks that.
I'm surprised to hear that for more reasons than one. I mean,
and I will say this though, just really, really quick. How many times does Marshall need to prove Shields wrong? First, Marshall was saying, well, you're only knocking out a bunch of, no-hopers. You're knocking out a bunch of girls on last-minute notices. And, okay, well, let's test it out. So then she fought someone who had enough notice and went the distance with Clarrisa Shields. And Clarrisa Shields herself said, oh, watch. She's really tricky in there. I've been in the ring with her. She's going to have a hard time with her. Well, only had a hard time for one round. Then she took her out of there. So I'm just saying.
All right. H, are you ready to go, brother?
You know me, I was born ready. Shout outs to the Ringside Reporter. Shout outs to the entire HCP. It's your boy, H Money, Mr. DAZN. We in the building. Let's get it. Now, Savannah Marshall, Clarrisa Shields. I think this has potential to be the biggest fight in the history of women's boxing. This fight has, they have history with each other since the amateurs. Savannah Marshall is the only person to ever beat Clarrisa Shields in the amateurs. Clarrisa Shields, two-time Olympic gold medalist, two-time undisputed champion, 3-division world champion, 3 different weight classes in less than 10 fights. She's the fastest fighter to ever do that in the history of boxing. Clarrisa Shields is the only two-time undisputed champion in the history of boxing in the 4-belt era. How could you pick against her? How could you pick against her with that many accolades? Savannah Marshall is only a one-time champion.
But let me show you how.
One-time champion.
Let me show you how like this. Savannah Marshall is going to beat Clarrisa Shields.
It sounds good. It sounds good, but you can't hit what you can't see. And last time I checked, skills wins fights. Not power, but skills win fights.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm so excited about that fight. Triple G and Murata. Put your money on Triple G. Triple G is the best middleweight of this era, Beeb.
Whoa!
Of this era right here. Triple G got the most title defenses. Unified champion. You know what I mean?
Man.
Triple G to me is the best middleweight of this era. If you guys think it's another middleweight that's better, let me know.
Wow. Where would you rank Triple G in the best middleweights of all time?
Probably, yeah.
All time, that's hard because I got Bernard Hopkins above him. I got Carlos Monzon above him.
Is he top 10?
Yeah, you can probably.
I would rate Sergio Martinez above him. Sergio Martinez.
Was the guy that ducked Triple G? That Martinez? Oh, he didn't want no smoke. He went to go fight Cotto.
He already had a shot knee by the time Triple G was anywhere near in the scene. But he has a better resume at middleweight than Triple G.
But Triple G, like
Triple G
those
ain't beat
title
no
defenses-
Hopkins. I'm not Hopkins. Pavlik. Who was the Pavlik that he beat?
Triple G, a lot of people thought he beat Canelo in that first fight, right? A lot of people thought he won that fight.
I'm not gonna lie. I had Triple G winning both fights.
See, that's what I mean, D-Style. So,
I had Triple G winning both fights.
But Beef's had a little bit to drink today. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It was,
hey, so I got Triple G knocking out Murata. I think Murata is a good fighter. I think that's a big fight in Japan, but I got to go with Triple G in that one. I think Triple G has too much power. And Murata, he got beat a couple of times. He got 2 losses on his resume. I got to go with Triple G. Ryan Garcia versus Tagoe. You know, Ryan Garcia he's a rock star, Beef. He's a rock star. This kid don't need a belt. He's the king already. King Ryan Garcia. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be
What about Tank? What about Tank?
Tank Davis. Hey, speaking of Tank Davis, that press conference with Rolly Romero was fireworks today. I thought Tank Davis, he was going to put hands on him at the press conference. Tank Davis, this kid he's a beast. He's a beast, bro. And he wants to destroy Rolly. I can't wait for that matchup. Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, I think in the future will be the biggest fight in boxing. I think they can do over 1 million pay-per-view buys.
They got to make that fight. They got to make that fight, H. They got to make that fight next.
You're right about it's up to Ryan. It's up to Golden Boy. You know, I got a lot of respect for Oscar De La Hoya, but, you know, Oscar just blocked the fight between Charlo and Munguia. He didn't want that fight. So it's up to Golden Boy at the end of the day. I got a lot of respect for these fighters. Devin Haney and George Kambosos. Let's go, Devin Haney. It's Haney time. Let's go for all the belts. George Kambosos in trouble. I promise you that, bro. Devin Haney is the next great fighter from America, bro. Devin Haney's the next Floyd Mayweather. He's the next Andre Ward, bro. I promise you that, bro. You know what I mean? Hey, shout out to the HCP and you know, shout out to Tyson Fury, man. Tyson Fury, Dylan White, man. Tyson Fury, the #1 heavyweight in boxing. Tyson Fury gonna punish him. So many great fights in the sport of boxing, B. Devin Haney, Kambosos. You know, Anthony Joshua Usyk. Earl Spence and your Dennis Ugas. Nonito Donaire and Inoue. So many great fights, bro. You know, the boxing is great again. Man, shout out to the ACP, Canelo and Bivol. I can't wait. 1 month away. You know, Canelo and Bivol. I'm excited, bro. So shout out to the ACP, man. I had to cook with y'all real quick, man. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel.
I'm actually
also
in Lubin and Fundora. I think that's a pretty,
another one.
You know,
another one.
It's got a lot of good fights coming up.
Who you got in that one?
You know what? I mean, my brain tells me Lubin, but
I'm taking Fundora.
But honestly, I very rarely pick against a bigger, taller guy. That's like
it's hard. It's too hard, man.
When I'm on the fence, I usually go with the bigger, taller guy, which is why I'm going to go with Sebastian Fundora on this fight. And the thing about Sebastian Fundora too, Joe, is that NH, because you asked, a lot of times you see the guys that are like really tall for a division maybe be a little bit fragile, you know, or maybe don't have the strongest of chins. This kid's actually really durable. Like he could eat a shot pretty well, even though he's, you know, pretty tall and lanky. So I'm gonna go with Fundora on this one.
Got you.
So y'all both going with Fundora. Okay.
H Money
okay,
got
so
Lubin.
I got Lubin. Actually, I got Lubin with a possible knockout too, or definitely a knockdown. Feel like he gonna, you know, I got to see some other things from Fundora. I do like I said, with his length and his height. Of course, he's an inside fighter, but I want to see what Fundora is going to do Saturday as far as utilizing his reach better, utilizing the jab, how he's going to, you know, just his whole full strategic game plan. I feel like Lubin is on a roll. He is on a mission right now. His last loss was against Jermell Charlo. He's won 6 straight since then, so I feel like he smelled blood and he wants to, you know, come back and try to get the division, try to become the king of the division. So I really feel like he gonna get the job done. And like I said, I feel like he might tear Fundora up, hit them body shots. We'll see what Fundora do. Let's see if he's gonna adjust properly come Saturday night.
The thing for me is I love it when a big, tall guy can fight on the inside. That's a bonus for me. I think Fundora can fight on the outside, but he likes to fight on the inside probably more than he does on the outside. And when you have a guy that can do both like that with that size and with that strength, and he's in great shape, he's very durable too, very strong kid. My only problem with Lubin is maybe the durability of him. You know, will he be able to hold up to a tough, rugged fight against a bigger guy? Definitely has the skill set to hang in there for a little while, but will he have it enough to go the full 12 against this big, tough guy, big, powerful guy in there? That's a great question. It's a good fight. It's a very good fight.
Hey, Beeb, I think Erickson Lubin is too fast for Fundora, too quick and too slick. And I feel like Erickson Lubin will make him miss and make him pay. You know what I mean? Shout out to the entire HCP. Great show, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Peace.
All right, brother. I'll see you.
Absolutely, H Money. Thank you for coming on.
I mean, that's the YTBC version of a shot of espresso. You know what I mean? If you need some, invite H Money. We need to be with some energy. You know, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But check this out. Okay, look, listen to me. Since we're already talking about it, right? Lubin is going to beat the Towering Inferno. I don't care if his nickname's the Towering Inferno. When people are impressed with that, whatever, he's going to get beat. Okay. Sebastian Fundora, and I get it, beat. Look, I could appreciate a tall guy that could fight on the inside.
Paul
but
Williams?
here's a difference.
Paul Williams?
Well, here's a difference, though. Do I think tall guys should know how to fight on the inside? Yes. Should that be their style? Like, should that be like their go-to? No. Because you're at a disadvantage as a tall guy on the inside. You're not. It's like a dude with short arm with T-Rex arms saying, I love to fight, you know, from a distance. Like what? Do you mean you can't learn how to do it and learn how to cut through, you know, through distance? But that shouldn't be your style. Fundora doesn't use his height. He just doesn't. Like this dude, and let me tell you something. I get that he's tall and all that, but that's not natural for that division. That tells me that the center of gravity isn't there. And he looks off balance to me a lot of times. Lubin's going to clip him clean, and it's going to drop him, okay? And everybody knows what the great Joe Louis said. You know what he said? The bigger they are, the harder they fall, okay? Lubin's going to drop him at least once. I don't know if he'll stop him, okay? And it's going to look awkward getting up too. I'm just saying. Yeah, he's a tall guy, but bro, it's all skeleton, bro. It's like I'm looking at like dude, like somebody feed this guy is what I say to myself. You know, like it's not natural for that weight.
Apparently, though, he doesn't have any problems making 154 pounds. Like,
because he's young, you know, metabolism.
I feel like if Fundora fights like how he fought against Garcia, is he definitely taking the L come Saturday night?
If he got clipped a lot against Garcia.
If he fights like that against somebody that is so technically sound, fundamentally has an overall just an excellent skill set with the IQ like Lubin, he's definitely going to lose come Saturday night. Because you have to use, I just feel like he is going to have to make sure to use his height and reach to his advantage and use his jab effectively to beat Lubin. I got to see a different type of strategy Saturday.
All right, let's switch topics here. It's a huge weekend of boxing coming up, and I've always been angry when I see all these fights on at the same time. Because obviously, you know, you can watch them the next day. You can DVR them, or if they're on an app, you can archive it and watch it the next day. But the aggravating thing is, what good is it? Because more than likely, you're going to find out who won, and you're going to end up going back and watching it. And another thing too is, I know these DVR views count towards the ratings. They get added in later, but is this bad for boxing because they counter program so often, and I just can't see how this could be productive for these promoters and these networks and these digital platforms. How this could be productive, because how many people are going to go back and watch these fights the next day if they're picking and choosing? I'm going to watch this one over that one. I just don't see how this is good for boxing. Maestro, I'm going to start with you. How frustrating are you with this type of situation? And do you think this is good for boxing? Do you think this hurts the sport?
I'm of two minds when it comes to it, Joe, because as a fan, It is frustrating. I'll tell you when I find it more frustrating. I find it more frustrating when you go weeks without boxing, or a week or two without boxing, and then all of a sudden, boom, Saturday, and it's like 3 cards at the same time. It's like, couldn't you put one of these on a Friday or put it on the week before? It's like, why do you have to put them all on the same day? So yes, I find that frustrating. But then at the other thing too, it's like I watch other sports. You know, I like watching English Premier League, just as one example. I even watch MLS, Major League Soccer too. College basketball. You know, I'm a big college basketball fan. And you have like multiple games taking place at the same time in other sports. So it's not like this is unique to boxing. Where I think is unique to boxing, though, is one, you do have weeks that go by where you don't have anything of quality. And two, you know, we live in a subculture where, unfortunately, it's like very difficult to avoid hearing the outcome. And I mean, usually if you're watching, like I see my sister there's rocking the Pistons hat, right? So if you want to watch the Pistons game, you don't really care too much if you find out whether the Knicks lost or won, because you really wanted to watch your Pistons game when they were taking on, I don't know, the Chicago Bulls, right? Whereas if you're a boxing fan, hell yeah, you do care that to find out about the outcome of the other thing that was happening at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? So it's tough. And yeah, Joe, I'm with you. They got to do a better job of not counter programming. And I think the biggest example coming up of this is unfortunately what's going to be happening on April 30th with Serrano Taylor and Stevenson Valdez, because I want to watch both of those fights. And you know, regardless of what you think, like, we are going to have to make some level of pick and choose, because there's no way you can watch the undercards and main event of both of those at the same time. So yeah, because
nothing's worse when you're watching a fight and then you get an alert on your phone, so-and-so knocks out so-and-so in 3 rounds. Like, oh fuck. What? You know, because you can't help but look when you see that little notification on your phone.
Like Robbie when he alerted you.
Well,
yeah, I yelled at Robbie that day too. Robbie, he's texting me. Did you see that? What an awesome knockout, Robbie! I didn't watch it yet. I was watching the other one. It's horrible.
Yeah, so I agree. Right, I agree with you guys. Like, especially really becoming. So I've been watching boxing with my husband for 7-8+ years now. I really got serious with it, like YouTube serious, like journalist serious, like the last 2 years, and I have noticed like it is very annoying, like as far as going to one fight and the other fight. I just feel like it's just a lot to go with it anyway, just with the money aspect, how much money we pay for each app. It's so many things. And just like how you saying this Saturday, like Michaela Mayer and Jennifer excuse if I'm saying it wrong, Jennifer Hahn, you know, they come on, and then you know, you want to support the women, because sometimes, you know, the viewership is not as big for the women, but everything is coming on around 9 or 10. Then you have Triple G versus Murata. I think that's like in the morning, like that's 8. I'm like, wow, like who's going, you know. I just feel like they definitely need to do something as far as the balance, and especially like Lubin and Fundora. Like, we're gonna watch Lubin and Fundora, and then what other fight come on? I forgot, but it comes on like right at that 9 or 10 slot. So it's, yeah, they definitely need to do something differently.
Three very good fights are going on in the same time slot.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I mean, I know Ring IQ says that he watches them on 3 TVs, but how can you pay attention?
I've tried that.
I can't. I've done it before too. Like I'll watch. I'll open up a tablet, have a desktop open, whatever, and watch. I can't watch 3 at the same time. I like to be focused on one, because I love to score the fights. Because if there's a controversial scorecard, I like to be able to have the conversation with other people. Well, this is how I scored it. These were the swing rounds. I could see it being this way. I could see it being that way. And you can't intently watch 3 fights at the same time. You just can't do it.
Can I make one last point on this too?
Go ahead.
What the other thing too, unfortunately, and this doesn't happen with DAZN because they know what the fuck they're doing. So you log into the DAZN app, they don't tell you the results of fights, you know. But for you to try to watch an ESPN fight using their app after it's happened, there's like at least a 50-50 chance that you're gonna see the result or some highlights video before you actually get to watch the card. Because I've gone into the ESPN app and I'd have to type in, you know, D-Style versus Beeb. And then one of the first thing that comes up is, Beeb knocked out D-Style or D-Style by points over Beeb. You know what I mean? Guys, I just wanted to watch the fight. Like, I'm not trying to find out what happened. You know what I mean?
And then it's crazy to me too, because it's like, especially even with the pay-per-view, I had a little rant about this a little while ago, because I am a very big basketball person. I'm a huge basketball person, and I just feel like with boxing, once again, the money aspect and how they are showing it. And Maestro, you made a good point. Like, of course, different teams come on, you know, around the same time. But I feel like with boxing, I don't know, because to me, it is such a niche sport, or it has to be where I think you need to have, if it's going to be that one big main fight, have that, because just like you saying too, Beebs, you want to be able to be locked all the way in. I can't pay attention to that fight, especially with boxing. It's so many things you got to look for just to see how the fighter is moving, both fighters is moving. And I don't, only like you said too, Maestro, the zone to me does a good job. I could at least go back and watch the fight. I could do the playback. Like, it's so many things with boxing that just really gets me. Like, why is it done that way? Like, as far as the business side of it.
Yeah. D, what are your thoughts on this? Because it was so aggravating. Last week there was virtually nothing, and then they just crammed everything on this weekend.
Yeah. You know, it is a problem. I'm not gonna lie. I've always had an issue with the counter programming. I think it's counterproductive. Granted, the Triple G Murata fight's not going to be part of the problem. I mean, the problem with that is you got to wake up early. You know what I mean? But in terms of, you know, these other cards, it's not just one. I mean, it's multiple cards are on at the same time. So are you going to watch the Ryan Garcia fight, the Lubin fight, or are you going to watch the top rank fight with Makila Mayer? And it's like you got to make these choices, right? Now, usually they try. It doesn't always work out, but they try not to put the main events at the same time. But I mean, it's still going to happen with the undercards. There could be a very good undercard fight, and then, but you end up picking the main event of another card, and it's like you still missed it, right? But even though it's a problem, it's still a good problem, right? Like I know people aren't going to like hearing that, but it's a good problem. That means that I'd rather have too much boxing on one night than no boxing, right? I'd rather have the problem like, man, which fight should I pick? Than, man, there's no good fights, you know? And I think what these next 13 weeks, what it's showing us is that the sport's in a good place. We're going to be jam-packed with a lot of fights to talk about, a lot of fights to cover, a lot of fights to watch, right? And I get it. We're not going to get to watch a lot of them comfortably anyway live, right? And I don't like doing the multiple thing either. Like I don't want to be with my phone, my laptop, with my TV, like watching three. It's hard to do it. Like, you know, boxing's a hard sport to watch if you're trying to pay attention to it and trying to analyze what's going on. You can't do that with 3 TVs all at once, right? So you can't enjoy it the way you want to, but it is a good problem, you know, ironically, because we're going to have too much boxing, right? But hey, at least a lot of these are like in the UK, you know, so we'll get them later on. So,
well, I guess to your point, if they have no other recourse but to put certain fights on certain dates and it just falls the way it falls, then it's better than having the fights than not having the fights at all. Because there are some fights that we're having this weekend, and I'm glad that they came off and they're, you know, they were signed and they're going to take place, as opposed to not having these fights at all. So that is one good point you can bring up.
The other thing too, Joe, is that guess what? There are 24 hours in a day. Like, I don't know why Showtime cards always seem to happen to start at 9, sometimes even at 10 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes they don't finish until almost 1, sometimes after 1. I think that as boxing fans, we should really start asking for a lot of these fight cards to take place earlier in the day. Like, I understand it when it's on pay-per-view for sure, and you want to kind of maximize revenue because it's that important. Every sale counts. But in an age where so many people consume television and entertainment on demand and through apps, I see no reason why we can't have boxing on at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And guess what? If people want to watch it a little bit later on their app, let them do it that way, as long as the app doesn't spoil, doesn't give you a spoiler in terms of telling you who won the fight.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to the next one here. So as everyone knows, Usyk is back. He left Ukraine. He's going to be training for Joshua, and word is out that they're going to have a date squared away and a venue squared away within a 2-week period. One venue that has been thrown around is Saudi Arabia. Where would you guys like to see the fight take place? And I just think, and this is just my personal opinion, and I hate to bring politics into it, but at this time, I just think Saudi Arabia would be a horrible choice with all of the human rights issues going on over there. I know, a lot of people like to criticize other countries for their human rights issues, but for whatever reason, Saudi Arabia, I think it was about almost 2 or 3 weeks ago, they just beheaded like 50 people. It's just
Actually a lot more than that. But
yeah, it's just horrible, what goes on over there. And it's just, and I don't, it's almost impossible not to bring the political side of it in there because of what's going on over there. And I just hate the fact that that's being mentioned again as a potential date for the Joshua fight. Start with you, Maestro. To me, it seems like, the fight belongs in the UK. It only makes sense, or if not even the UK, maybe Germany. They want to make it like in a neutral place for Usyk. Have it in Germany maybe. But Saudi Arabia is not a good look for me.
Look, the problem is the precedent that's been set, right? And regardless of what you think about the conflict right now in the Ukraine, Russia did commit an act of illegal war by, preemptive military endeavors are not legal under international law. You're allowed to defend yourself, but you're not allowed to do that preemptively. And that's what Russia sought to do, apparently, if you look at their view, but it's illegal. And for that reason, people started to say that, fights shouldn't be allowed to take place in Russia. Russian fighters shouldn't be ranked or be able to allowed to fight for titles. There was already hypocrisy there because the government in Kiev had launched a brutal military campaign within its own territory dating back to 2014. But we don't need to go into the history of that because no one was really calling for Usyk or other fighters like Lomachenko not to be able to fight when that was happening. But to call for all of those things against Russia, okay, take that stance. But I don't see how you could then take that stance and then say, well, you know what? We should actually now have fights take place in Saudi Arabia, where, by the way, in addition to what you were outlining, Joe, with the stuff they're doing domestically, if people have been horrified by the scenes that have been coming out of the Ukraine the last few weeks, those are nothing. And when I say nothing, I shouldn't say nothing because it's human life, but it's minuscule.
Pale in comparison.
It's minuscule compared to what multiple international organizations have called the largest humanitarian crisis in the world right now. And that's what's happening in Yemen. In Yemen, where hundreds of thousands of innocent people have been killed by U.S. weapons being used by the Saudi Arabian government in airstrike after airstrike after airstrike after airstrike after airstrike after airstrike for month after month, year after year. That's what the Saudi government is doing. Putting apart the fact that they chopped up a journalist into pieces in the Turkish embassy, putting apart the mass killings that they've committed in their own country to their own people, in mass executions in these trials that they put on. What they've been doing in Yemen is crazy. So it's the height of hypocrisy for people to, again, what Russia did was very illegal, and I don't really see how people can defend it under international law. But for people who have been very critical of that to be okay with Saudi, I mean, it's the height of hypocrisy.
Yeah. Michael, where would you like to see this fight take place, or does it even matter to you? You just want to see it, or where do you think it should take place in terms of venue?
I would just say, because I'm not well, let's just say this, where it's a place where it's a good environment, it's peaceful, where it's neutral, and they'll be able to fight, and we can see the juice and see what AJ gonna bring to the table next time around.
Gotcha. Fair enough. D, what are your thoughts? Where do you think this fight should take place? And are you against it being in Saudi, or does it matter to you?
Look, when the rematch with AJ and Andy Ruiz was announced for Saudi Arabia, or even when it was rumored, I said they shouldn't fight there, right? I mean, I wasn't going to cancel them if they did. I wasn't going to it was just my opinion, right? And it's all been outlined, the human rights violations, right? I work for an employer that we need like special VPNs and logins because countries, one of them being the Saudi Arabians, try to hack into our shit. Okay. And they do this to many corporations in the United States. They hacked Jeff Bezos, bro. Right now, you may like or not like Jeff Bezos, but that's what they did. That's an international crime. That's what that is. Like, everything they accuse the Russians of, and I'm not saying the Russians, look, all the countries do it. Okay. Let me just make that really clear. But the ones that have been caught red-handed, like doing shit, are the Saudi Arabians. All right? Like point blank period. That's the truth. Right? So anyway, no, I don't think we should be freaking. I understand none of them are American. I get that. But I don't think the sport of boxing should not engage there because the human rights violations, the hacking of foreign countries, including ours, putting all that aside, okay? They won't let women box over there, bro. What type of dumb shit is that? Or respect their culture? Well, you know what? Boxing has a culture, and if we can't be our own culture there, then we shouldn't be there. Then, all right? Like they don't allow ring card girls. Now, granted, look, everyone's gonna have their opinions about ring card girls, right? But we can't even be ourselves there as a sport.
Can't drink either.
You can't. You see how stupid that is? Like I'm just saying that people again. Oh, you got to respect their country. You got to respect. Well, they don't respect us. They're hacking us and shit. So fuck them. Okay, I'm gonna be point blank. Oh, respect the religion. I'm not a religious guy. I'll talk shit about all religions. So I don't give a shit. Okay. All I'm saying is, right, is that I just don't care. I don't want to see, boxing involved over there. I mean, that would be enough for me. Add beheadings and hackings and bombings and like human rights violations up the ass. Add all that on top of it, war crimes. It's a no-brainer to me. Yet we see company after company go out there for blood money. Okay, not just in boxing, not just here in the Matchroom, but the WWE, same shit. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing seeing their women wrestlers having to cover up their whole body because apparently all these dudes in the crowd are not going to stop themselves from raping them if they show some skin. I mean, it's just stupid. Okay, I mean it's a society that needs to be told, nah, dude, like we're not going to do it that way here. Okay, yeah. You have your culture, cool. Okay, keep your culture. We're going to do it this way over here. All right, that's just how I feel about that. That's just my opinion. All right. And one last thing, it's not like they have to do this to make money. Usyk said he would fight him in London. He said, I would fight him in London again. So just do it in London.
You just want to make more money, D-style. I mean, that's what it is. My whole thing is I would be okay with a rule that said that if a country is actively involved in a military conflict, that there shouldn't be sporting events there. Guess what?
Ban all 50 states.
But that's what I was just about to say. Guess what? When is United States not involved in some illegal military operation in some overseas country killing innocent people?
There's no boots to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, when is the United States not in? Like, so
If
that,
but our
boots don't
weapons,
land on the ground.
our weapons are all over the world killing people.
yeah. So that's kind of the problem, and honestly, that's kind of people could say, "Well, Maestro, you live in the United States. Who are you to speak about Saudi Arabia and their atrocities?"
Hey, by the way, are women allowed to drive you to Saudi Arabia, or do I need to speak respectfully about this disrespectful culture?
I mean, to be honest, that's a valid point. I mean, the United States has the largest prison population in the world. There's more people in prison here than in China, which has way more people, than in India, which has way more people. And a lot of the people, if dare I say, most of them in these prisons look like me. United States is involved all over the world, and like I just said, military. So it's like, at the same time, I was earlier saying, well, the people are talking about Russia. They don't have anything to say about Saudi Arabia. But now I'm talking about Saudi Arabia sitting from the United States. So maybe what I really just need to do is just say, like, look, we live in this world. It is what it is. I need to keep quiet about it. These fights can take place wherever they take place.
And one last thing, I don't think they see boxing the way we see. I don't think they see, two warriors in there battling it out. To me, I think to them it's like a circus. Like to me, they're just here. Oh, let's just make it rain on these dudes over here. They let them just fight it out. I think they see it as barbaric, and I'm not saying boxing is not barbaric, but I'm just talking from their perspective. Now, I don't know if this has been updated or not. I don't know. I don't even think if you're a citizen of Saudi Arabia, I don't believe you could box.
Well, what about, I mean, we're also, D-Style, I don't know if you were making this point implicitly, but I'll make it explicitly. Most of the time, it's two infidels fighting each other. I mean, let's keep it real. I mean, I understand that Amir Khan fought out there or whatever. It was a little bit of an attraction. But, I mean, when you have Usyk against Joshua, you're talking about two infidels.
Yeah, but you know what? Every president, including Trump and Obama, when they go over there, they're gonna kiss the ring. That's what they do, literally, right? They bow to like this, like what the fuck's going on over here? Why are we bowing to these dudes? Like, I'm not saying, I get it, they run their own country, whatever, but we don't need to, like, it's just the whole thing's stupid, bro. And then like, are you that like Usyk and Joshua? Are you that thirsty for money? You guys are gonna make a shitload of money in London, right?
Yeah.
Well, to quote the great Tulsi Gabbard, she said, "We have to deal with the world we have, not the world we want."
Great.
The United States needs to deal with that, because we want to stick our nose in everything and think we're gonna change things or whatever. But again, you have to deal with the world you have, not the world you want.
You can't be the moral police when you got the world's largest prison population and you got bases and multiple illegal operations happening all over the world. So.
I was in the military. I lived in Germany for 3 years, and I asked myself every day, why are we here?
Dude, like they're chopping heads off.
Why are we here?
They're chopping heads off, bro.
Yeah, and they're doing illegal. Then they're doing injections over here in our prisons, D. What is it?
Throwing acid on women's faces.
Huh? Yeah.
Throwing acid on women's faces. And
and to Jimbo in the chat, I could do both, by the way. I could chew gum and walk at the same time. So I could say that Saudi Arabia, and that government is a piece of shit government, and at the same time criticize the United States and the government for what we do over here. And I have done both. So I'll keep chewing gum and walking at the same time. Thank you very much.
All right. On to a brighter subject. As D-Style said, boxing isn't a good place. We got 3 months, April, May, and June, of phenomenal fights, right? So I got to ask the panel, which month are you looking forward to most, and which month do you think has the best fights, in your opinion? Let's start with you, Micah K. Which month do you like better, April, May, or June?
Ooh, that's a good question. Hold on. April is lit, because next week we got, I'm going all out next Saturday, because we got Spence versus Ugas. We about to party. We about to go all the way in for that one. Then you got Shakur versus
Valdez.
Oscar Valdez.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so listen. Okay, y'all had to tell me what's going on in
All right, I'll help you out.
May.
I'll help you out. So here's the big fights in April. You got Golovkin Murata. You got Lubin Fundora, in my opinion. Mayor Han is an intriguing fight. You got Spence Ugas. You got Fury versus Dillian White. You got Taylor Serrano, right? You got who else do we got here? We got Valdez, as you said, Valdez versus Stevenson. That's a blockbuster month right there. Now in May you got Alvarez versus Bivol, right?
Okay,
Charlo Castano too. That's a banger.
Ooh, that is.
Tank.
You got
okay. You got my guy Tank.
You got Tank versus Romero.
Oh, it's all about May, right?
May's okay. I don't know. I don't think May can.
Tank, Canelo, like Charlo, undisputed.
Now let's look at June.
April versus May.
June, you got Inoue Donade, you got Kambosos Haney, and you've got Fulton Roman.
And possibly
Joshua versus Usyk.
And possibly Joshua versus Usyk. I mean,
I don't want to influence anybody, but I don't think
so y'all gonna be doing a lot. There's a lot of content gonna be dropping because it's about to be back to back to back. Crazy.
I don't know about you, Queen, but I don't think anything can touch April. April is like boxing Christmas.
There's only one.
Now May is like Thanksgiving, boxing Thanksgiving, and June is probably.
But April lost some luster because you said that you're not really feeling Serrano. That much in
no, we never said that. We were just
said so you gotta like bring it down a peg. You know that.
Oh, what I said.
I'm not saying I bring it all the way. Just like you know, what I mean? Just like
at the end of the day, there's only one Tyson Fury. You know, and the lineal WBC champion of the world is now going to be fighting in front of not 90,000 but 94,000 screaming fans. In Wembley Stadium over there in North London. What an event. It's the
mismatch.
It's the biggest fight in boxing in the history of that great country that actually invented the sport of boxing.
But notice, it's not a good fight when you have to sell the arena and where it's at and the people and Wembley and Fury, but you don't say White. Well, what about the fight's not good?
Well, I mean, Dillian White hasn't shown up, so, I mean, I hope he's going to show up for the actual fight. Apparently, Frank Warren has a backup opponent ready to go. I mean, who could it be other than Joe Joyce, which would also be a pretty good fight, because who else would they put in against Fury as a backup opponent if White decides
to go down, bro? Like White. It's funny because you know how they used to White chalk when the dude's like all laid out, like after he gets killed. That's heavy White. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, that like I said, it's heavyweight, but I definitely got Fury. I
got Fury.
Yeah, I'm not like for me, Oscar. That must be your thing. But
Oscar Valdez
Stevens.
You can do it too, Mike. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Valdez Stevens is a big fight too. Unification fight.
Valdez versus Shakur. To me, I'm a big Shakur Stevenson.
I'm a big Shakur fan too.
I feel like he has the potential to be. I know it's early, so don't nobody because these boxing fans are so crazy. It's early, but I do feel like he has the potential to be really great. I really see certain things, so I want to see what he's going to do with Oscar Valdez first. Of course, we got to pump the brakes. We got to see the progression. But I'm
already
really
on the bandwagon. I'm already on the bandwagon. I jumped on the bandwagon. I jumped on the bandwagon a couple months ago.
He needs a brake change.
I want to shout out. He said I need a brake change.
He needs to change his brakes for sure.
I want to shout out Sly Tendencies for the super chat. He gave us a super chat. I took it down by mistake. I'm sorry, Sly Tendencies. He said, shout out to the panel, Micah K, Beeb, and D-Style and Maestro. Thank you. Nando Lamas, the best fight this weekend is... I think he meant to say, what do you say? Fujoka
versus
Marlene. One more here we got. William Boxon says we also have Nonito versus Monster, and we got Smith versus Betterbeef. Yeah,
bro, you can't hate him these months, bro.
That's true.
I didn't know that. When is that? June?
That's June.
Yeah, what month do you like? What month you like the best, Micah?
May.
It's between April and May. I can't. And by the way, let me just say,
we know it's not April.
I know y'all put. Listen, I know on this show, I know y'all put that fist pump out too. I'm bomb squad, but Fury. I have to give Fury his credit. I gotta give Fury his credit when it is due. Excellent boxer, heavyweight, move his feet, all that, But anyway, so I'm still Team Wilder. But let me
be rooting for Fury. He beat Team Wilder. You want to make Team Wilder looks better if Fury continues on the greater successes.
Well, I do see a point with that, and
let's see what she.
I am one of those. One thing hopefully people will notice with my channel. One thing I can say, even though we all have bias, one thing I do with my predictions, I try to put my best foot forward for both fan bases, to explain, because there's a whole nother, like I said, boxing fans.
Both sides get the benefit of the doubt.
A lot. Yeah,
you got to give both sides the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
All right.
But okay, so Tank is in May. That's my guy.
So you're gonna take May. You're gonna take May?
No, because I feel like he's gonna beat Rolly. So let's I'm gonna go with April overall. April.
He won't beat Rolly. What?
Yeah, he gonna beat Rolly, so I ain't got to worry about.
Oh, I thought you said he ain't gonna beat.
Oh, no. Tank is definitely gonna beat Rolly. We gotta wait to see if Tank beat somebody. We gotta have some more juice for Tank, and then we'll talk about it. But I'm talking about overall April.
Okay, April. Right. April. What? It's between. Whoa. Okay, let me tell you guys something right now.
All right, go ahead, D. You want to jump in?
Look, I get it. April's good, but I agree with you guys. Like Serrano Taylor's been brought down a peg. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying. Look, April's a great month. I don't want to diminish what April is, but we're in April, so you're like feeling it. But it's all about May, and if it's not May, it's June. All right. Look, we got Canelo Alvarez versus Bivol. Okay. I'm just saying. Herkovich against Zhang was going to be an undercard of that event.
Fury Wilder.
All right. We got Bradis against Opetaya for the cruiserweight championship of the world, baby. That's an appetite. That's like extra. That's just extra. That's just extra, though. That's just extra. No, but check this out. Undisputed junior middleweight championship on a fight that we know is good and it's gonna be good. Okay, Jamal Charlo, right? Facing the Argentine powerhouse Brian Castano, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's gonna be a war, and that's gonna crown an undisputed champion. All right, and that's just like you can't just write that off like that. You know what I mean? You just can't. So to me, May is looking good with just that. And then Davis against Ronaldo Romero. All right. I'm just saying. They're talking trash. It's selling. You know what I mean? They're going to keep talking some trash. Great press conferences. I think Tank's going to knock him out. I told everybody Ronaldo's going to die if he gets in the ring with fucking Tank Davis. But he'll get knocked out in spectacular fashion. All right.
Well,
I'm looking forward to that. That's the month of our months.
We don't want to say he's going to die. We don't want to say he's going to die. Let's.
The only way that month gets beat is if Joshua.
I don't want to say people are going to die in the ring.
Joshua Usyk gets official in June. It's June, and it's not even close. Like Stephen Fulton, Danny Roman, brother.
Not even close.
Better against Joe Smith. I'm just saying we could forget about the Jamal fight. We'll just put that one aside. But you got Maxayo against Ray Vargas. You just interviewed Maxayo. You just talked to Maxayo. You got to pump him up. June, Maxayo's going to be back. Okay, it's a pretty good opponent. And then that's not all. Then Joshua Usyk on top of that. And then Onito Donaire against Master Inoue. Dude.
Maxayo's fighting in July, not June.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't need that fight anyway.
He's out of control. He just wants to play the country.
No, I think May has all the big names.
How many of these fights in May could fit into the 94,000?
Let me put it this way, right? Yeah. Let me put this to rest right now. That's like 5. Canelo could fight on any of these weekends in April, and everybody will go watch the Canelo fight. Ain't nobody going to be watching old Katie Taylor. Everybody capping out here. Oh, it's the most historic fight. Everybody will be watching Canelo out about his fight. Okay?
I already said I would if I had to choose between Marshall and Shields and Taylor Serrano, and I had to watch one or the other live. I've already told you which one of those two I'm watching live.
I'm going to put Micah K on the spot right now.
Uh-oh.
Fury versus White or Canelo versus Bivol. You can only watch one live. Which one are you going to pick?
Canelo versus Bivol. For sure.
Wow. I'm going to say Fury versus White.
Fury versus White, 94.
All right. I respect your opinion.
Like May has the
Because
biggest fight.
because Canelo, let me just say this. Because I know for me, it's not so because Tyson Fury, excellent, listen, elite, heavyweight, movement. I always say, especially to be that big and to move the way he does in the ring. Yes. But White to me, I just don't, it doesn't bring it for me the same way. With Canelo, is so much talk, it's so many things. So it's like the fans are even looking, whether you love him, whether you hate him, you want to see what Canelo is going
microscope
to do.
is on this guy.
It's going to always be on Canelo,
always.
whether
Canelo's
you love
so
him,
big.
whether you hate him.
Canelo's such a big name that
a
Tank's
polarizing
promoter
figure,
just talks about
polarizing.
Canelo, like during the press conferences.
Absolutely. And then I want to see, with Bill, because I was, who does follow me on Twitter, I do a little tweet. I'm not the biggest social media person, but when I do tweet, because I was a little upset. I was like, Nello, I wanted him to choose between Charlo or Benavidez. I'm a big Benavidez fan. Now, we understand certain things. Okay, no, Bivol is a good fight. I was on record saying I like the Bivol fight. I just didn't really care for the Triple G because we had already seen it so many times. I'm like, come on now. I wasn't crazy about it.
I'm not
but as far as, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish it.
No, yeah, I was just saying, yeah, but as far as definitely when I really have to really think about it, I'm always trying to I want to see what Canelo is doing, whether I agree or disagree with it at times.
What about
I just think Beeb needs appreciation for the future. Beeb's like the now. Like Beeb likes to live in the moment. You know what I mean? That's why
you're right. I'm such an impatient person. It's ridiculous.
Like
I want
April
everything
where
now.
it's at for you right now.
If I call up customer service and they say, Mr. Habib, you're gonna have to wait 48 hours. You know what my response is? Is there a way we can expedite this? I have no patience. I agree with that. That's one of my big
there you go.
flaws.
So now May,
a big man to accept his flaws.
With patience comes greatness. Okay, you're gonna have bro. Ain't nobody gonna tell me, okay, that White Fury is a better fight than Canelo Bivol. Okay, it's not.
I don't know.
Like Canelo Bivol's a more competitive fight. It's a better fight.
It's a more competitive fight, D-style, but no one else would be able to tell you that Fury White is not the.
I'm the contrarian, right?
It's the bigger event. It's the bigger event.
No, it's not.
It's 94,000 people at Wembley. What
so what? Klitschko had 90,000 in Germany all the time. What? So what? No, nobody called those the biggest event of all time.
His were like 40,000 and change, and they were pretty good fights. This is 94.
Yeah, I can't say nobody's. I'm just saying.
This is 94th. It's 94th. I know you're not big on Dillian White. I don't think anybody on this panel is big on Dillian White.
It's a homecoming fight. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's great. It's a homecoming fight.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
You know what happens in homecoming games? They always put them with the weakest schools.
That's
like saying it's only a Rolls Royce. People don't say things like that.
No, but Canelo.
Only a Ferrari.
Look.
You don't say things like that.
Over 20 million people are going to watch this fight, okay, in Mexico alone, brother. Okay? Let's not diminish what this fight's going to generate in its own country as well. And
worldwide.
Let's not diminish what now that we're post, looking, we have COVID in the review mirror a little bit. You know what I mean? What Vegas, what the atmosphere it's going to bring. I mean, Vegas is going to be lit that day. It always is when Canelo fights.
Maybe he should have done it at Estadio Azteca then, or maybe he should have done it.
Because it wouldn't make as much money at Azteca. Because you could tell me all day about, look at all the people there. Like, look, at the end of the day, you give me the 10 highest. Look, he fought Billy Joe Saunders in a stadium at 10 million. Okay. He did a higher gate against Plan in Vegas. Like, there's just more money there. That's why the fight's happening.
I'm just saying, if you wanted this to be a bigger event than this fight is going to be, then maybe it should have been in a stadium. Maybe it should have been at Estadio Azteca. But it isn't.
I don't agree. I don't agree that has to be
from a monetary standpoint, though. Listen to me. From a monetary standpoint,
who's going to have a higher gate?
The most lucrative fights of all time have been held in Vegas.
What fight will have a higher gate? The Wembley fight or the one in Vegas? May 7th.
Vegas, probably. Yeah.
But what's the bigger event?
The one that makes more money.
No.
That's a good comeback. He's actually having a good night tonight. This night. He's been off. He's been way off for a while.
Ladies and gentlemen,
for a while.
He's
coming back strong this night.
I'm going to make this point.
These are some good counterpoints. I'm usually with Maestro.
Before you make your point, is White Fury a bigger event than Wilder Fury?
I'm going to spell this out for you in a way that you're all going to be able to understand. In D-Style's world, if a billionaire decides to hold a concert on his yacht and pay some rock star a huge fee to perform, then that's a bigger event than that rock star making less money in a fucking stadium. That's not the world I live in. I don't care that it's going to generate more money in front of fewer people that are willing to pay more, because the high rollers...
This isn't a yacht. This is an arena.
94,000 people in a
helipad. What about a helipad?
This is 94,000.
Okay, but let me break this down. Okay, you're talking about someone subsidizing a fight to have it in a. Ain't nobody subsidizing Canelo. That's number one. Okay, that's all generated money with masses. That's what that is. Okay, so hold on. But just answer me this. Riddle me this. Riddle me that.
That's why they pay these fees.
Riddle me this.
The high rollers.
Riddle me that. Riddle me this. Hold on, Maestro. You got to hear the riddle. Riddle me this. Riddle me that. Which fight was bigger? Okay, this one, White against Fury.
Yeah.
Or Wilder Fury 2. Which is a bigger event?
94,000 screaming people.
You are crazy. You're out of your mind.
No, I'm not.
That is British. The British like doing that. They like having events in stadiums. It's a cultural thing. Here in the United States, we have boxing fights for the most part in arenas.
Right.
Floyd could have been in Pacquiao and all these. They could have been in stadiums. Canelo already proved that. De La Hoya could have been in stadiums. He sold out the Sumbo over 50,000 here. Okay, but that's not where the money was. Okay, he did big events, bigger events. By your logic, the fight he had here with Charpentier, was bigger than his fight with Trinidad in Vegas.
No, what you're saying is that when Jennifer Lopez goes to give a private performance for the leader of Turkmenistan.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Babe, is that what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. Riddle me this. Okay, Canelo Golovkin Canelo Golovkin or Canelo Saunders. What was a bigger event?
That's a bigger deal than Jennifer Lopez performing at Madison Square Garden.
Canelo Golovkin.
More money.
Canelo Golovkin. You know what?
Bro.
Pacquiao Mayweather. Okay, or White Fury. What was a bigger event?
Pacquiao Mayweather was a bigger event.
$72 million live gate with 15,000 people in the arena.
Shout out to Sly, though. He's still my dude.
Sly Tendencies, thank you. $5 super.
Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez.
Whoa. D-Style have to choose between Ali versus 3 and any Canelo fight. He's riding with Canelo. Fury is coming for you.
That's not true. Like last year I called that trilogy the biggest fight of the year.
Here's the thing, Maestro.
Let me make this last point, Joe. Jennifer Lopez made her career high payday performing for the president of Turkmenistan at a private birthday party. I guess that was her biggest show, right? Because it's the one that made her the most money.
That's not okay. Why was Pacquiao Mayweather a bigger event than any stadium fight in history?
94,000 screaming people at Wembley. Stop.
I don't care they're screaming. I don't care they're singing Sweet Caroline. I don't care they're singing Ole, 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 Ole. I don't care.
Maestro, what's better? Stop. What's better? Maestro. You might as well
Maestro's back.
You're gonna tip the king on this one. Wait, this is checkmate right here, Maestro. This is checkmate. Who would you rather do? Sell 200 Lamborghinis or sell 2,000 Hyundai Excels?
I'm selling 2,000 Hyundai Excels, though. I'm the working man. I want everybody to get a car.
Micah, am I wrong?
I want everybody to get a car.
Am I wrong here, Micah?
I'm just trying to see, Maestro, you know what, from afar, when you make your points, like Beef said, I usually be like, okay, you
He's
doing
losing
good
this one,
counter.
right?
Trying kind of
But
hard.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm riding with D-Style as far as with these points right now, because I'm trying to see where where you going with it. I kind of see, but I just cannot see myself picking White and Fury over Nello. Maybe because
D-Style's point is about a fight's magnitude being measured.
Hey, Cobbs, you still punching like this? Stop the
Micah,
fight.
you know what, Micah? You know what's crazy?
My magnitude is based on how many people are there. Like I said,
Maestro, like Blair Cobbs when he's still throwing when to stop the fight.
Let me tell Micah. Let me tell Micah this story because she's gonna find this interesting. When Mayweather Pacquiao was first being put together, right? I got in this big argument with Ness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, I can't believe they're doing this to the
argument
fans.
with Ness? No.
They're not putting it in a stadium where the tickets could be affordable and more people can go to it." I said, Ness. Yeah. I said, Ness, who gives a shit, Ness? They can just watch it on pay-per-view. It's better that way, anyways, right? It goes. I think they make way more money if they put it in Vegas. They were selling tickets for $10,000 ringside seats. You can't do that in a stadium. The tickets would be the tickets are much less expensive. Like when Joshua and Klitschko fought in front of 90,000 people, that gate was $13 million. Canelo and Golovkin did $27 million with 16,000 people. Because when you put a fight in Vegas, bare minimum, those ringside tickets are $5,000. You're not going to get that at a stadium.
Case in point, Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders did about 10, 11 million. Really good gate. But it wasn't a bigger event than Canelo Golovkin, even though it wasn't in an arena.
Here's the
May wins.
You have to differentiate this. Bigger doesn't always mean more people. I'm talking about bigger in terms of how lucrative it is, in terms of how much money it made. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's like, if you're holding an event, right? Would you rather do like a $3,000 plate dinner for 200 people, or would you rather have a buffet for friggin' 10,000 people?
Feeding the 10,000 people.
Come on.
That's what we do over here on Maestro's side. People get to watch the fight at an affordable price. That's what we want.
But that Canelo, more people worldwide, I think will watch that Canelo fight.
But not only that, let's say you were right.
Largest purse bid in the history of the W.
But let's say you were right? The better fight is Canelo Bivol.
Yeah.
And I think I said
that. It's the better fight, more competitive fight.
And I think too, because you guys, you have been watching boxing, and you guys are more as far as just the knowledge. With me, I feel like for myself, even though I do a lot of research and stuff, I still consider myself,
you're a fast learner. You're a fast
learner.
Right.
Yes. Thank you.
Incredibly fast learner.
But the thing is, what was I going to tell you guys? Oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought. But the thing is, a casual, like a true casual fan, that would be a good question to ask somebody, that knows those names. Who would they really go, who would they really be leaning towards? I see to a certain extent what Maestro is saying, but I'm saying as far as with my mindset of what I would truly want to see. And then a lot of people don't know this, whether I agree or disagree with Canelo. Canelo's been a good luck charm for me. Every time I predict he was a knockout, do certain stuff. So of course I got to ride with Canelo anyway, but it's just certain things that I cannot see myself when Canelo going against a fighter like Bivol. No. And then what I'm saying is because Fury versus White, I don't see it as far as with White and Fury.
I got it. So here's the deal, Joe, real quick. What I need D-Style to do right now then, here on camera, in front of the millions of people watching across
the millions.
Okay. Is concede now that Jake Paul is the biggest U.S. star in the sport of boxing. You got to admit it now, because you've already set up the precedent of people watching him, the revenue he's making. All right.
Can't touch
He's
Canelo.
by D-Style standards, we got to give it up to Jake Paul, right?
I didn't know Jake Paul's had any gate over 5 million. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What's his highest gate?
The only boxers ranked higher than him in terms of
what's in this? Give me the number.
Can the U.S.
higher than
hold
him?
on? Can the U.S. claim Canelo because he lives in the U.S. now?
San Diego, baby, let's go.
The only boxers ranked higher than him in earnings were Tyson Fury and Canelo Alvarez.
Alleged, sir. That's not what I'm asking.
But can the U.S. claim Canelo?
You got to give him number 2 then, right?
Can the U.S. claim Canelo?
Since it's all about the Benjamins, we got to take
it. Like Jake Paul is a celebrity that, like, for example, let me just put let me put this to rest right now. If Brad Pitt said, you know what, I want to have a boxing fight. I'm going to box Joe Habib, right? Now nobody will know who Habib is, but they know who Brad Pitt is, right? Brad Pitt would make more money than all the boxers except Canelo right now. And then will we be on here like, oh yeah, Brad Pitt? I mean, he owns the boxing. You know what I mean?
The one who's saying that 94,000.
I'm talking about you need to be a qualified and really good high-level fighter.
All about the money.
Okay. Well, Jake Paul is in the record books for a gate. Like he's just not there.
4,000 ain't even.
But Maestro, are you
all about
you keep
the
saying
money?
He ain't breaking no records.
You keep saying 94,000. You saying
when's your boy Tank Davis gonna do 94?
No, I'm not going. Listen,
Tank Davis doing 94. When's that?
Hold on, Maestro. See, I was about to ask
when's
you.
That gonna happen?
Don't somebody find me the gate.
Let her answer the question, Maestro. Let her answer the question. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
Why are you trying to go on Tank? I was actually about to ask you because I was trying to get a better understanding. Listen, Tank is
okay.
Listen, Tank is the one. Until we see otherwise, we know it's certain things. There's a lot of things going on right now. But I wasn't even talking about that.
He about to leave Floyd.
I was trying to figure out as far as you keep saying the 94,000, but how it's still different because we're here in America. So I'm
global. I look at it.
I know it's global. I know boxing, but I'm trying to figure out because you're saying the 94,000 and just like D-Style is saying
different price point. It's a different
I just want to say this really quick.
No, I'd love to see Canelo.
Hold on. I want to make a point about Tank. So Tanks, according to the New York Post, did only 65,000. And I'm sorry, that's Jake Paul. Jake Paul did 65,000 buys. 65,000. Yo, against Tyron Woodley, like a former UFC champion. 65,000 buys.
First of all, that was
this is the dude that he wants me to say, oh, can you admit he's a superstar?
No context, D-Style. Bringing up
65,000 buys.
No context, D-Style.
Jake Paul's not on the Forbes list. Jake Paul's not on the Forbes list. Jake Paul's not on the Forbes list.
No. You're as good as you were lately. He's not in the Forbes list. We don't even know what he's making. He's just what he's saying.
Tyson Fury's on the Forbes list.
Just like his brother says he's owed money. Is he? I don't know. He's just saying that.
List. Canelo's on the Forbes list.
Tank Davis fights do at least 3-4 million or like more or less. You know, in the game.
More money, Joe Smith Jr. or Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Okay.
So let me get this straight. We're talking about Fury White, and you're so desperate to make the point that it's a bigger event than Canelo versus.
I'll tell you why I love this Fury White fight. I'll tell you why I love this Fury White fight. This guy Dillian White has been talking for 2 years straight about how he deserves his. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but he's been chopping at the bit. Banging down the doors at the WBC headquarters. Give me my fight. He went as far as suing them. These guys are talking back and forth, right? Then he won't even go to the press conference. And Tyson Fury's finally going back to the UK after 3 years of not being. How long has it been since he's been there? 3 years, maybe? Right? There's just so much story behind this fight. Such a buildup for this fight. These guys don't like each other. Also, the whole BS with the sparring sessions, how White saying he beat him up, knocked him down. There's just so much history between these two guys, so much bad blood that how can you not like this fight?
I do. Nah, don't get me wrong. I do want to see.
I don't want to say that.
I do
Okay.
want to see this fight, but the way not directed towards you, the Maestro, the way Maestro is making this fight seem, we talking about the same white that lost to Povetkin, right? We talking
I'm not
about
talking
that
about
white.
that. I'm talking about 94,000.
No. I'm talking about it because what I'm saying is, in order for you to bring how you keep saying 94,000, like how I say the juice, the spice, you got to do something. This is the same man that lost to Povetkin, did the rematch. Okay, he won. I knew he was gonna beat him that second time.
Let me ask you this.
There's only one
yes
Tyson Fury.
Do you like knockouts? Yes or no?
Snorting a
Absolutely.
line, drinking
Okay, so we're gonna have a
wine.
knockout.
Always in Miami, cheating on his
4,000
wife.
people
Hey,
have a
But if-
knockout. You like knockouts, right?
Yes, but
I
if
like
we
knockouts.
know what's going, if
Joe
we
likes
know what's going to
knockouts.
happen, I cannot
Style
see
likes
White
knockouts.
winning this.
So we're gonna get a knockout. Center stage, 94,000.
Everybody loves heavyweight. We definitely, you're gonna be tuned in. That's
Lineal
heavyweight. That's number
champion
one.
of the
And
world.
it's
Come on.
Fury versus White. You know you're gonna be locked in. But when you say
WPC
Canelo versus Bivol, you know,
WPC lineal.
when we doing that, that's where I kind of, draw the line.
lineal heavyweight
But
champion.
guys, I gotta tap out. I did not know it was 10:02.
Okay, Micah. Thank you for stopping by. We're gonna cut it pretty soon, anyways. But thank you so much. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yep, you already know what it is. It's the Queen, Micah K, with Afternoon Sports Slay. You can subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Once again, that's Afternoon Sports Slay. I will be coming out with my podcast. I know I've been saying it for a while. Hopefully, it will be coming out no later than May. Also, IG is at MK Sports Slay, and my Twitter is at MK Sports Slay. So I got a lot of good things coming up. We just gonna get better with time. The Queen is progressing, learning, research. So I encourage everybody that truly wants to support the Queen, just pay attention to the moves I'm making, the certain things that I'm doing, because you're definitely going to get more content from me. I appreciate you, Beebs. I appreciate everybody. I definitely do it again. Might be a little time, but I definitely come back and chop it up with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
there's only one Tyson Fury. Snorting a line, drinking a pine. He was caught in Miami cheating on his wife. Hey, there's only one. I hope they sing that song. I'm looking forward to it.
You know what I think would be the biggest boss move? They don't do God Save the Queen. They do God Save the King with Tyson Fury singing his own national.
God save the Gypsy King.
God Save the King. He sings it himself. That's what I would do if I was Tyson Fury.
God save the Gypsy King.
Do these two guys got to give like a percentage of the purse of the Queen?
Can you imagine it?
Do they give a percentage of the purse of the royal family? Those two guys?
No,
I hope not.
They do. They give like 3% or something. I think they do.
It's fucking inbred pedophiles over there.
Whoa! We don't say that word on YouTube. Whoa!
Did you not hear about Prince Andrew? What he was doing?
Whoa! Well,
on the what do you call it? The island. Dude that died. What was his name? I forgot his name already. Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was out there, bro. He was out there on the Lolita Express.
No bueno.
Out there on the island.
No bueno.
Shout out to Nando Lamas. He says semantics, boxing is having good problems.
Yeah, it is.
All right, guys. We're done with another roundtable in the books. Thank you guys in the chat for watching. Maestro, welcome back. Great show, guys. Thank you. Until next time, peace. Stay safe, everyone.